welcome to... Wait. There we go. Got to talk into the mic. Hello and welcome to part 3 of our Clam enemy character. Today I think I'm going to work on accessories like a tongue for it, maybe some sort of a fist, and maybe let's say a little cannonball or something, or a stone or whatever, what have you. Could be a pearl. It doesn't really matter what it actually is, what the material properties are. Basically some sort of sphere-like object, which will take all of like 5 seconds. So once I'm done modeling a few things, if there's time, I'll move on to beginning the UV mapping section of this. So first off, I'm going to enable visibility here, move in here. I might as well go ahead and group all of these under old and just kind of get rid of them. Call this Clam. Let's see, I can just call it Giant Clam. And should I call it Body? I can leave it for now. Not really important. I do think I should duplicate it though, just so I have a backup. Toss that in there. Alright. So I think the first thing I'll probably do is make some form of a tongue for the character. Let's see how big. Let's get some blocks out here. So we've got about 1 meter by 1 meter, effectively 1 unit by 1 unit in Unity. I can scale it later and everything. I'm just thinking about how far out I would want the tongue to be able to go. And let's go ahead and throw in a cube. So grab that. Grab this polygon. And let's say probably don't need it to go more than 1 meter out. That gives them a fairly long tongue. And also taking into account that it's 2 meters from here to here, this might end up being like 1.5 meters or something. Not really important though. But I'm going to move this 0.5 meter. So yeah, then this is now like 1.5 meters, which is fairly long. I might need to shorten it up. But let's go ahead and start scaling from the origin. And I'll keep it there for the moment because I just want to see. Alright, so if you can see, this edge running down through here is basically the sort of musculature area in the center of it, which comes out to being, you know, pretty close to 0 here, so centered in the mass, which is basically also where things like the tongue will be attached to or coming out of. Now, if I want to think of it, there we go. Probably should have done this to begin with. So, come on, 250. So then, this right here is, well, I guess we're back to a 500 by 500 cube. So, beyond the shell is going to be the usable, you know, attackable, what it's going to use to hit you with. So I kind of want to bevel it, but I kind of also don't want to do that just yet. So I'm just going to say from there I want to give him 0.5 meter. I think that's probably a good amount out for an attack. All the scaling's relative right now. It's actually, it might actually be pretty close. No, it's not pretty close. It probably needs to be about 1.5 to 2 times the size that it is right now for it to work properly how I want it to in the game. But that's probably the right length. Bring this down and decide how thick I want it to be. Maybe 40% for now. Because I want it to be like obviously visible. I don't want there to be any confusion as to what happens if it like licks you. Just gonna, as I always do, duplicate and create a backlog of meshes instead of a backlog of scene files. So now what I want to do this is start tapering it and shaping it a bit. And now I think I can go in and bevel this back into here. And it doesn't even really matter how far I take this back, but I like round numbers and all that. So 250 millimeters. And might as well make this something like 50%. Not going to hurt anything. And how do I want to go about the end of this? Because I do need to bevel it, but I need to kind of round the whole thing as well. I'm not sure how much like a actual tongue I want this to look versus a sort of a stylized version. So let's go ahead and try doing something like that. And then I can run a vertex. Well, I don't even need to go up there. Just go here, vertex merge. That should do it, and I only got one of them. We'll do fixed. Really? Interesting. It said it only merged one, but I would have thought it would have needed to have merged two. But it does look fine. Okay, I'll go ahead and duplicate that. Wrong duplicate. And you know, when it's smoothed like that, that's pretty accurate as to what I would want it to look like. That doesn't necessarily mean that I can just hit the D key though, because it, you know, starts getting ugly. But what I do need to do is go ahead. Actually, at this point, I probably don't. Let's see what happens if I bevel just these and then go shift select, get the bounds. For some reason it still selects these other edges even though they're not bounds. But then we can go, you know, bevel it down something like that. Starting to look better. Kind of a bit blocky considering the rest, how smooth and how many polygons there are on the rest of it. And that's why I save these different versions of the mesh. It's so that I can always go back. Whoop, I didn't save one at the right spot. Oh well. Easy enough. I know what I did. Just bevel this down here. Something like 250. Then scale it 50% on X. And now we're good. Alright, duplicate that. So the problem was I wanted to be able to smooth this more because it's just not round enough. And that should be round enough. And do a vertex merge again. And it still just makes me think it's lying to me. Okay. These edges here, probably not so important, but I'm going to at least bevel them a little bit, just so it doesn't look too bad if you see inside there. Don't need all these crazy lines in there though. Alright, now duplicate this again. What part was cool? Green eyes. Let's see. Now we'll round it down. And add a few. Uh-oh. And see, something is going a bit wonky in here. That's pretty weird. Oh, how the difference when I sub-D it. Yeah, and there are different different algorithms, and you can weight the different sub-D edges and all kinds of stuff. But since this is a real-time model, I can't really make use of sub-Ds. Okay, so deselect that and that, duplicate bridge, and then now I'm starting to see what might be the issue with beveling it the other direction. And so let's go ahead and bridge. Duplicate this. Select the bounds. Should only be those two. Hit P to fill that in with the polygon. And now I should be able to grab these edges and bevel it. But now what I'm thinking is going to happen while we're getting the distortion, yes, is right there. It's that triangle in the front. So, and I suspect even if I come in here and delete this and add a polygon, we're just going to run into the same issue in a different way. Let's get the bounds, bevel that. So yeah, as soon as it hits that one, same problem. So I think it's pretty much just going to do this. Like I've basically might have to bevel it all at once instead of one after another. That's what I'm kind of thinking I'm going to have to do, which means going back again. Order of operations is really important whenever you're doing modeling. Actually, this time it's doing what I expected it should. Ah, that's the problem. It's right when it goes over. So 100 millimeters is basically where they should be matching up. Yeah, so, but when they get perfectly matched up and it basically merges everything, is when it starts confusing the algorithm. Easy enough. This is what I was expecting to happen, to be able to get it, rounded like that. That's what I want. Now the question is it too fat? I can always scale it down later. Go ahead and duplicate it. And I want, since these didn't actually get merged before, I now need to go, say, do scale it down to 0, and I might as well do a vertex set position at 0 anyway, just to make sure they're there. And now go to a vertex merge. Automatic should get them all because they should all be in the same spot. And now I can bridge in here to get this all nicely, get nice topology there, and then I'll have to come through here and run some loop slices. Oop, wrong edge, grab that one, get rid of that one, get rid of that one, bridge. Select the bounds, polygon, and there. So I want this to be pretty deformable. I want it to deform smoothly, which means it needs at least a few spans. Let's see, it's 5. I'd rather have a little too many than a little too few, I think. Now let me go probably scale that down a little bit again. I guess that's scaling it down quite a bit, actually. A lot of bit. Now we need to think about... So I'm kind of on the fence as to how much like a tongue I want it to look. Because things like the fist that I'm going to have come out of it, it's not obviously going to look like a real person's fist. I was wanting it to be more stylized, maybe even something like a more iconic looking sort of stone thing, like a stone fist. So then that brings in the question as to how much like how much like the real world thing I want anything coming out of its mouth to look. Like I could just make everything that comes out of its mouth look like it's made out of some sort of the same sort of flesh as its musculature on the inside, or I could make it look the opposite, like some sort of a stone or a pearl, like some sort of pearlescent thing. In having that in mind can help inform the modeling. That's not too big of an issue if I don't know at this point. I am kind of winging this character a bit. And that shouldn't actually matter for me to go in and remove these and get all quads. Just so I don't have those triangles there. But actually what would probably be better, since would be to get rid of these. That'll do even less damage to the shape here. Okay. So then, I think at the moment, I'm going to go look up, look at someone's tongue on the internet. Okay, so the divot down the center doesn't go quite entirely down the whole thing. Let me get back over, here we are, to the video. Now, in order to be able to make like a divot shape in it, I need some extra geometry going through the center. And since I already have you know, these different edge loops here going all through there, what I can do is just continue these down it effectively. So hopefully, yeah, I kind of figured it would select those, but that's fine. That actually just, I can just deselect these. And then what I want to do is use Shift-C, the slice tool, with snapping. And go over, and I want it to be vertex. And then also straight line. Turn off grid. So this should be what I'm looking for. Click there, you know, just bring it down, I'll snap to that straight line. Especially once I get off of, get away from these vertices and stuff in here, just come down here. And then do the same thing over on this side. And now I have enough geometry there that I can make it a little dent. And I can select this edge loop. And I'm going to be using a fall off, and the fall off should probably be going down this way. So I'll do a linear fall off and go down this way. And maybe something more like that. And it's not centered. There we are. Grab, say, the scale tool, and where is my fall off information? Linear. With ease in. Now if I scale that down, I don't know, let's say 70 75. So one of the things is I don't really know how much that will show up in the game, if at all. Like, this is something I could probably do with texturing and really not have to, unless I go something farther like that. But then the problem is I probably, in order to really make that you know, not such a hard edge here, I would need to bevel something. Which I wasn't really wanting to add more geometry in here, and that's really not this. I'd have to bevel these, which is what I was afraid of, to get them to smooth down into there, and that just starts adding a whole lot of geometry. You know, even if I keep it minimal to something like that, that's still just not sure I'm okay with all that geometry. But one thing I can do, you know, is just go in here, get rid of those loops. Go in here, because I don't really need the geometry up here on the front, but I guess I can leave it. Let's have a look at this in reflection. Yeah, it looks kind of okay. I think I want it to be more tapered. So the definition in the that crease down the center of it definitely looks good. I really might need to get rid of some of this geometry. You know, because like if you look at the very front end of it here, where these loops come in, I really don't think I need them. Let me try duplicating this. I'm just going to go through. I'm going to grab those edges and these edges. Remove those. Yeah, I mean, that really just does not matter. There's not enough of a difference there for that to matter. So then I can look at where I want to dispose of these. I guess I can just bring them in here like this. Just terminate them. So either that, or I could just terminate them inside of the polygon in front. You know, either way, it really doesn't matter much. So since it doesn't matter much, I'm just going to move on and duplicate this again. And save the file. If it crashed right now, I'd be pretty unhappy. I should probably have autosave on. Alright, now I want to taper this a bit. So how do I want to go about that? Definitely needs to be a linear fall off. Snapping on is fine. Probably go with a grid snap on this one instead though, because I don't want to mess around with it being off. Okay, fine. There. And I'm going to scale from the, well, I guess I do need to, let's see. Well, I'm just going to scale it on one axis for now. That's making it look pretty funny. That's more like what I want. So, let's see. I could get a fat tongue. Fat tongue, skinny tongue. Hard to say. I kind of think that this one's more comical looking. Skinny tongue, yeah, that's what I was feeling too. Make this at like something like 70%. And let's see, ease in, ease out. Ease out might actually... looks like a frog's tongue. Yeah, kind of. Ease out, smooth. I like the ease in. It gives it more shape. Has more shape to it. Looks pretty funny. Kind of reminding me of Yoshi's tongue, depending on how thin I make it. I think something like that's probably good. 70. Yeah, that looks pretty funny. Turn off snapping. Get rid of this fall off. And I guess I can label that tongue. And move on to something else. Take all this stuff and group it under here and call this like tongue old. And this can be shell old. And I can group all of this under old. It's good to keep the stuff around like that in case I need to go back to it until the character's more finalized. So yeah. That'll probably look pretty funny when it's got its mouth open and that's animated, like flapping around at you. I thought I could also have it use it like a sword, like how Link does in like Smash Brothers games, where it tries to impale you with it or something. Or maybe it could spin around like a top, like a little saw or something, like a little buzz saw. Not a buzz saw. No, I'm talking about saw blade. Let's see. Maybe pogo bouncing. Who knows? I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Because, well, the pogo bouncing would be a lot like Link's downward, like, impale you with his sword move. Because if he hits you with it, he bounces. And I could just have them, like, bouncing off the ground with it. And if they hit you, it hurts you. There's, that could even be, like, a thwomp. That could be my version of Mario's thwomp. Is that I have a, a clam try to impale you. Tongue breakdancing. That would be pretty funny, but I'm not sure how I'd work that into an attack. But I could use it. I might be able to do that with something else. And now let's just move on to something simple. So we've got half an hour. No, I'm going to go ahead and try to do the fist. So I think I'm going to go add a cube and get rid of reflection because that's not going to work so well. And look at my own fist. So, let's see. Yeah, hard to look at the side. So about halfway. And we can go about halfway there. Alright. So loop 50%, that'll do 50%, that'll do. Then I just want to get rid of those. Well, grab these, bridge them, throw a loop down the center. And these are all going to be fingers, so I might as well go ahead and throw loops down there. And while that is kind of like, it's interesting because it's always going to look wrong. Go ahead and duplicate that. So I've got a few different ways of doing what's next, and I'm kind of just trying to figure out how I want to do it. So halfway there, halfway there. So I do need, I want to keep that divot in the center of the wrist, or of the palm, which means that the edges need to come up, or at least on, do I want another loop through there? I'm not sure if I want another loop through there. So I could just start adding another piece in and figure out how to do it differently. Hard to say. And actually, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that these, it depends on how tightly held a fist is versus how loose it is. But typically, a tight fist is going to be more 50% like that. But it always looks wrong, is what's funny about it. It looks like that the fingers should be shorter up there. And maybe that will help. Maybe if I bring this down a little bit, give it a little bit more palm area. And I'll just do... No. Sorry, so this might be a little painful for me to watch me trying to figure this shape out. So, triangle. Well, let's just move forward. It's the best thing to do. And I do want to have a slice going like 50% through there. Vertex, drag weld there, and probably don't actually need to drag weld that, because what I'm going to do is make this merge up to that side and then just taper down. Yep. So just thinking of how I want to handle this. I guess I can remove these, remove those edges, bevel this down something like, was it going to be like 500? Go up, hide that, delete that, unhide that. Vertex merge. Okay, so something didn't merge in there. So I am wanting this to be stylized, and I'm kind of wondering if just building it out of individual blocks might be a better idea, but it probably would be a better idea. So bring this down there a bit, because the thing is, the other side, we'd have that divot in the center. This would need to move forward a bit. I've modeled hands before, but never tried to model a model something that's like a stylized block of a fist. And it looks like I'm not doing so well at it. I'm just trying to figure out where I want the basically the thumb to come out of. It's like it should come out of like right here. Like maybe just cut down there. And bevel this out. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not even sure how stylized I want this. I had a different idea in mind before doing this. And I might just go back to that idea, because I think it would probably work better. I'm not sure how well it would read as a fist, though. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and try it. There's no point in just sitting around doing nothing. So let's see, what is this version? So yeah, that's the version I want to go with. And I've got that half. So I'll just bevel that out. Hard to see. Yep, so halfway, bevel this. Yeah, it's just not going to look good. I don't think it's going to look good. So the idea was simply, I guess, something like that. And I've made a pretty good mess of this now. It's not looking terrible though. That was kind of you know, I had a stone sort of iconic idea of a fist, and sort of like a pixelated fist. So let me fix the geometry in here. Which means I just need to rebuild some of these polygons. Grab that. Actually, I'll just do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I should be able to do that. Okay. So, then to give it more shape, it's hard to tell which side I'm looking at when I do front and back. To give it more shape, I would move this up here a bit. Something like that. Now, since I wasn't really paying attention to how far, well, you know what? I'm not going to try to do perfect numbers. I'm just going to kind of leave it. So how do I want to pull that? Let's see. Looking at my own fist, I know it doesn't work so well on the camera, but hard edge, hard edge, hard edge, hard edge. Pretty almost flat over on that side, not entirely. That lines up. That more or less lines up, but it bulges out in the end. So it would be like bulging out right here. Is what I would need to do while not, and really to sort of fake it looking like it's bulged out over there. Let's see, how do I want to fake that? Because I don't want to affect this shape, and it might be that I'm being too that I'm trying to make it look too realistic by doing that. Normally I use this trick to do the opposite, to do something like that. And you know, I can probably actually bevel these out just a little bit, something like 50 millimeters. We'll give it that for now, and use that trick on the top and the bottom. That gives me that little bit of a bulge over there, which I'll move down a bit. Which then makes me think, let's see, well, it's mostly actually not, it's more straight down. The difference is that my pinky curls in. Let me try to hold that straight. Just trying to visualize here. So yeah, it actually does taper down from the pinky. So I can ignore all of this. Move this in a bit. Make that like 100. Let's see. I obviously need an arm, sort of an arm segment coming down off of it. And bevel that down. Just put this at 500 millimeters. Okay. So, it definitely looks blocky. Now I have to decide how much definition I want to add to it or not. So that really does just poke out of that. I definitely should bevel a few things. Round it a little bit. Let's just move forward with it. Move forward with it, see where it takes us. So I think first I'm gonna go bevel some of the knuckle pieces and stuff. Actually, I'm kind of curious. If I drag that stuff down, does that look better? No, not specifically. I don't know, it could. Kind of hard to tell. So let me bevel some knuckles. And I might as well give the same bevel to all of these pieces. So let's see. Go with something like that. Because I do still want this, like I said before, I do want it to be blocky. I want it to be more of an like an iconic fist than I do. So it'll probably actually be made out of stone. In the game, the materials and stuff will be stone. So 50 round doesn't look too bad. I'm wondering if I need to bevel the other edges and stuff. And I'm kind of thinking it looks, let's see, like that thumb looks a bit small. Or like it needs to come out farther. And it looks alright from there. So what's going on here? Let's see, there, down. It's like that. It's like the palm doesn't come down far enough. Like these edges need to go down. like to sort of extend the palm down, but then if I extend, that's kind of weird. Maybe I don't know. It's definitely out far enough. It just really feels like this edge here might not be long enough. Like it should be down there. Like the angle's off. Well, let me just do that. Does that look worse? Does that look better? What about if I take these edges down? I guess I would need to grab this, all of that too. Bring that down by about the same amount, so the proportions are the same. It just allowed me to make this angle different over there. So I think I'm going to try cleaning it up. Let's see, the wrist would be the same, so it doesn't need to thin down or anything. I'm just going to duplicate this, try to clean it up a little bit. Let me get some of these things out of my face here. The work plane and the grid. Okay. As far as cleaning this up, because what I'm thinking about doing is like beveling the bounds here. You know, just bevel the sides of it, and beveling the other pieces over here too. But in order to do that, the geometry would need to be a bit cleaner. Stuff like that's bad. Alright, I see a line here. There we are. And really, I guess the way I would deal with this would be... Really? There. Is there... Let me just run mesh cleanup on this real quick. Mesh cleanup. There. And something is still just going odd in here. Vertex. Well, mesh cleanup should have fixed anything. I don't think that's going to do anything. It just seems like something's really wrong with that. Yeah, I don't think we need this edge going across the top. Well, I guess I do kind of... I like it for some reasons and don't for others. I'm not even sure if I'm going to use this. It's kind of fitting the bill of what I was trying to do, but also kind of not. Alright. I need to bevel, if I'm going to get any definition in here to separate these out to make it look like a carving, I'm going to need to bevel this stuff here. So let's go ahead and do this. Something small, like such. And grab these edges in the center and try doing something like a push. Down in there like 10 millimeters, just something to get a shading difference in there. And that seems to work out well on that side. I guess that's not quite so well on that side, but I could fix that later. If that does what I want it to. So most of the modeling has gone pretty smoothly, but it's just once I got over to doing this that it kind of fell apart, because I didn't really have a plan of what I was wanting to do with it. Now I'm thinking about changing the length of some of the fingers here. So making, although it's probably something that I should have done before, and it would make it look less like a stylized rock if I did something like pushing this out. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence with it as to whether I like it or not. Which tells me I guess I probably don't. I probably don't like it. Well, I'll go back to this one. Because what I'm thinking about doing is giving this a little bit more shape to help it, which is something I couldn't really do after having beveled it. It wouldn't work very well. Let's make this 50. Actually, I like certain things about it. I don't like certain things about it. So maybe a few small tweaks will make me like it better. That looks more fist-like to me. Just adding that little bit. Like I just felt like I like that it does feel a bit like an iconic fist, but I also don't like that it felt like an iconic fist. So like it felt a little too, like it didn't have enough definition, too iconic. I think I'm going to pull this all the way back through there and give this the same. Actually, let's make it a little wider so it'll read better. And that'll let me clean it up at the back easier. Alright, go to the push tool. How far in do I want to take that? 20 millimeters? The same sort of 20 millimeters that I did the other thing? Yeah, that definitely looks better to me. It's definitely helpful. Now, I'm wondering if there's anything I can do with that thumb to kinda help give it some definition. Ah, yes. Now I see part of what I was really not liking about it. There's a couple things. Yep, good. Okay, so I've identified some of the things I was not liking. One of them is that I lost the, going more with this blocky look, I have absolutely zero of the definition in the palm, and this palm or the wrist should drop down a bit, which is not currently happening. So yeah, it should definitely drop down at the front. So how do I want to handle that? Well, first off, I need to work on the definition of the palm. Let's see. So I need a little bit of basically in here. That's toward the middle. So I'm wondering, with the topology, what would just happen if I just grab that edge and move it up a bit. And actually, before I do this, let's go ahead and duplicate it, save it. Let's try moving these. Good. I think that'll work out. Or maybe move just those. Give that like 80. Alright. Now there's some palm definition. The problem is I think this is going to triangulate the wrong way. And I was correct. What I want it to do is go this way. And then this one will probably do the same. Oh, good. It went the way I wanted it to, which is interior. And actually, yeah, I want it to go that way, I believe. But then I now need to deal with this one, which means this should go like here. And then I have my definition and the palm there. And now I just need like a bulge in the palm here, which should be easy enough. Something like that. Cut that across. Cut that into there. See where is this one going to go if it triangulates. Probably want it to do that. Okay. So now I at least have some blocky definition in there. And then maybe I should thin the thumb back some. Actually, the thumb should be about the same thickness once it gets to that point. And the thumb My thumb does look a little bit thick probably on the back end here. Yep, it does look a little bit thick. Alright, I'm liking it better now. I'm liking where it's going better now. Sorry that this one has been a bit painful, but that happens sometimes. Sometimes, you know, you go into things without a plan, especially in 3D. It can be a problem, just like this has been. Now, let me deal with cleaning up some of this. Find the Z. Uh-oh, that's interesting. What are all those polygon? What's that polygon doing? I have one there too. Interesting. Don't know why those are there. They don't need to be there. Okay. Find out where this position is. Lists info position. You are on the Z at 500. Grab these. Do a vertex set position. 500 on Z. Now, do I want that at the back? I guess it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to leave that in. But I do think if I'm going to do that, all I need to do is go grab these and do a join averaged 4 vertices. Okay, well, whatever. There's one vertex there now, and all that geometry looks good. Now the question is, do I want to add beveling on the sides? But before I do that, I feel like I need to address this down here. And let's just try beveling. And now, let's see. Can I just give that a little bit of a rounding there? Yeah, that'll work. Something like bring that down like 50. So that'll then be the edge between there and the wrist. Or yeah, well, that's pretty much the wrist. And then the forearm, which I feel like there needs to be a divot basically right here on this side. So say scale this over to action center element. So I want the divot over there, so I'll scale it to here. Just a little bit of a divot there. And I guess should actually have a slight divot there too. So really, I can just scale this normally. Even though it's definitely more pronounced on this side. Something like that. It actually starts to look a little bit wrong. Alright, now what I'm going to do is say find the position on Z of this. That's at 50. Select all of these, do a vertex set position, 50 Z. And I should probably do the same thing for these. I know that's gonna change that a bit. How much do I care? Because I can do a polygon here, bevel it out to something like that. I don't know, maybe even 50. And then, because I don't want to disturb this loop going through here, now I can go down and do a set position 50 there. Help keep it from looking terribly bad. I'm probably being way too precious with this. I really probably don't need to be this precious with it. I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to save it. Got beveling in there, beveling in there, beveling in there. What I don't have is something like a bevel in here. If I wanted to bring that in and do something like that. Or just say grab the bounds and bevel those edges. It's obviously going to cause problems. I don't think I really want to bevel any of this stuff anyway. I'm just kind of messing with it. Whoa, that's not good. Because I do want it to look a bit blocky, a bit like it is just a stone fist. And for now, I'll label this fist. Grab all this stuff. Fist old. Toss that in there. And now I guess I should do, sorry if I'm having a memory lapse and didn't remember that I just duplicated it, because I might have duplicated it already. But I was too busy talking. So 302 polygons. Let's go see what else can we get rid of. Is there much else? There's probably not really much else that we can get rid of. So it's probably, because once we get down into here, we could start bringing the edges and just don't know how ugly the geometry will get. But back here on the back of the hand, we definitely don't need all of that geometry. So what I can do a few different things, but I think, does that carry through the bottom? No. Definitely go in, get rid of these. Then the question becomes, what do I want to do with these? And because I could bring that over there and that one over there, but then there's this one in the center. Well, vertex, drag weld. Let's just go ahead and drag these over here. Although I'm concerned about how that could affect shading. I think what I would rather do is something like this. Actually the shading's gonna be hard-edged anyway. So maybe I don't know, this might just be trying to over-optimize. You know, because you really don't want big well, you don't want thin triangles stretched around everywhere. So let's see, we don't need that. We don't need this. Or do we? Do we need that? We don't need that one. We don't need that one, I don't think. What I can go do instead is connect this to here, this to here, get rid of that. Then this is still going to need to triangulate, and that actually looks like a good way to do it. I don't really need this to be splitting and cutting all the way down here, but at the same point in time, I don't want to just, drag this to the side. Same reason I'm not doing that over here. So even though I don't need that geometry, I'm still not really going to do anything about it. Ooh. Well, I guess I should do the same thing that I did on the other side over here with the top, which then means I have to do something else down there. Which I don't want to do. So it wants to do some horrendously ugly triangulating of the mesh here. Go away, snapping. Alright. I'm going to follow the front here, because that makes the most sense to me, is to follow the front, and then to take this and do something like that with it. Not ideal. Maybe do something like that. Well, I can fix the shading with smooth groups anyway. I just really do not like having thin triangles like that going around. So it is definitely a blocky fist. I might have to revisit and try something else with this. Maybe go just grab a fist off of one of the characters I've modeled in the past, a more realistic character, and bend the fingers, or well, grab a hand and bend the fingers in and make it an actual fist. It's the first time I've had problems modeling something like this. I'm sure being live has something to do with it. Center selected. Whoop, scale this down. Stop doing that. There we are. I'll scale it down to 50%, which doesn't actually make much difference at the moment. And no, let's see. I would want it to be pretty large coming out of there. Scale this to the origin. Let's see. Maybe something like that. Something that doesn't make any sense at all as to how it could possibly be coming out of it so big. Yeah, maybe something like that. And I guess that is centered. Although, what I would really probably want to center it with would be more like that. Okay. Well, I have that for now. I might model a fist offline because, or go grab a hand and turn it into a fist just because I don't want to put anyone through that again. I did so well with so many of the other things. For some reason, this fist, I'm not sure if I like it or not still. But the idea would basically be to have it scaled down inside the mouth, and then whenever it uses it, it would scale out. So it would just be like boom. When it opens its mouth, it would just be like slam, this giant fist. Alright, well, enough rambling for now. It's been over an hour, and I'll have to make a decision what I'm going to do with this. If I'm going to keep it, or if I'm going to try something else offline. And I'll get back to you with the next episode. Thanks for watching.